We live in really interesting times with the rise of AI. And AI has brought a lot of ethical quandaries and considerations that stop a lot of neurodivergents from actually using it. We might be put off, for example, by the rise of slop content. If you log into social media, you'll know what I'm talking about. Platforms like Facebook are completely consumed by 15 to 20-second reels of uncanny valley, physically impossible, grotesque, low-quality videos that are designed to capture your attention. And this serves as a deterrent for many people who want to broadly just denounce AI because of this content misrepresenting the possible usages, or it could be considered even an exploitation of AI that's driven by profit. And I know this is turning off a lot of people from wanting to use it. There's also the moral, ethical consideration that to generate these models, a lot of creative works are scraped, and those people are not credited or funded in any way for the fact that their content is being used. There's no royalties provided, and so in a way that's creatively exploitative. And then there's the environmental considerations. For example, using these tools, they consume a lot of water. That said, you can have all these considerations as a neurodivergent, and it's important that we do, and it's not surprising that we do, because a lot of us are driven by a strong sense of ethics, wrongness, and rightness. We always want to make sure that we're doing the right thing. And that speaks to our caliber as people. But if we begin and end discussions with just broadly denouncing it, not considering some of the applications, we miss out. And it's becoming increasingly difficult to not use AI because it's infiltrated a broad array of technologies and will continue to do so. It's the nature of a lot of technological advancements that as it's introduced and then adopted, it becomes more widely adopted to the point of ubiquity. So there's a likelihood that it is going to be an integral part of our day and our lives moving forward. And it's up to the individual to decide how to navigate that moral quandary that it poses. And it's also up to society to find ways to address each of those. And we're kind of lagging in terms of doing that. No surprise. It tends to be when we're on the cutting edge of anything technologically speaking, that we do lag in terms of making sure that we're using that technology in an ethical, moral way. That said, AI has great utility for a broad array of applications. It cannot be used as a therapist, and there has been backlash around that, rightfully so, but it can be used as a sounding board. You can go to AI to get some feedback about social situations you're in, for example. A lot of us struggle to navigate social situations, especially with neurotypicals. As neurodivergents, we don't know how to necessarily grasp what their expectations of us are, or why they might be upset at us, for example. And even I've used it for that, where I've gone and explained a situation and asked for feedback. If you do use it for this purpose, you have to be aware of confirmatory bias, and you have to challenge the AI to not be too confirmatory and to not sugarcoat things and balance both points of view. So navigating ambiguous social situations and using it as a sounding board is one possible application. Using it to help you with managing executive dysfunction, giving you strategies, structure, routines. It can be a creative problem solver who can help bounce ideas back and forth and help you arrive at methods to address your executive dysfunction and be more effective, generally speaking. So these are some really key applications that I find it to be helpful for. And you might have your own purposes in using it and your own utility. I find on a day-to-day basis, I can use it for interpersonal communications as well. I might not necessarily just use it to create the whole communication, but I will use it for feedback. I know in interpersonal communications, I can come across as very blunt, overly direct, not very empathic and compassionate. And as a therapist who is neurodivergent, I know it is important that I communicate in that way, but I know that my neurodivergence will sometimes interfere. As an autistic ADHDer, I can send off emails really fast and not understand how that email might land and not be able to mind read how it might be interpreted by the other person. So using AI for feedback about my writing so that I can apply the knowledge that it's sharing, the feedback it's sharing, and hopefully develop better communication skills, not relying solely on it for my interpersonal communications, but using it just strictly for feedback, is another application I find helpful. How do you use AI in your life if you do use it? What are some of the possible applications that you've found have enhanced your life? And what have been some of the considerations, if you don't use it, that have stopped you from using it? I would love to hear all about it.